play with the ones I already have. So I'm just going to show you what I have, and we'll do some rundowns and maybe play with some cards. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'll do those last. First up, I don't buy these very often. One, because they're very expensive, and two, because I don't, like, I'm not a professional tarot reader or anything. I don't have like a need to buy that many, but every now and then one comes out that I love and I want to buy it, but it's super expensive and I can't justify it. So this is the Shadowscapes Tarot. You can see that. This is one of my favorite decks. It's pretty popular, I think, in the tarot, like, YouTube portion. Not everyone loves it because it is kind of a really busy deck. Like, there's a lot going on the imagery, but that's why I like it. So, and I love the box. It has like the design here. So the book, I actually really love the book. It has the imagery of the picture, like of the card, and then it has a story and a description. So if you look at you have like a full spread of the major arcana card, and then a story about the card, and then a meaning of the card. So it's like that for each card in the major arcanas, and then in the minor arcanas you do get a little bit less information, but like, look at these spreads. So I actually really like this book. I think a lot of tarot readers don't usually read the books. I think that's maybe just because the books didn't start to become a thing per se until recently. But I actually enjoy reading the books, and this one especially is very well done. So I'll read you like the kind of story portion of this. It begins with a whispered voice. The serpentine song threads through her days and her thoughts. It beckons, come, come, come. Where? She asks, curious, but there is no response. She ignores the summons until one day that siren song unexpectedly explodes and fills her to the brim. Its pulse is undeniable. Where? She asks again, and this time the steady beat of her heart is the response. So that actually sounded like Frozen 2, like the main song there, but anyway. Yeah, so then the cards of this deck are also stunning. If you can actually see them. wispy, like watercolor paintings, and I just think it's gorgeous. They are a little shiny, but they're just like mass market tarot decks. This Hanged Man card is like one of my favorite cards of the whole deck. Just like gorgeous. And this Magician card is stunning. My least favorite card of all tarot decks is usually the Sun card. In kind of traditional Rider-Waite, it's like a naked baby riding on a horse or something, and I just hate it. These cards are a little bit flimsy, and they like bend really easily, which doesn't really bother me personally, but I don't know if you can see that, but it's the Six of Cups. Focus, focus. There we go. It's kind of like whimsy or childhood fantasy, imagination. I don't know if you can really make it out, but she is having a tea party with her teddy bears, and the fae folk and the fish are swimming by, and just kind of embracing your inner child a little bit there. This is by far like my most used deck. You get different like vibes from your tarot decks, and this one I always find to be like honest and informative, but also gentle and nice and calm and not in your face about things. Western style tarot deck. This is kind of more, I guess, an oracle deck, but it's a completely like different system. So if you look at the number on the bottom of the card, this one is 19. Then behind the correlating number in the book, obviously. So this one says, stimulated by the same unstoppable force that makes plans shoot up in the spring, you advance to the top. This sign promises a time in which your abilities and performance will be recognized and honored. You have great charisma and are able to influence and support others. This is the right time to realize new ideas or gain a better position. Use this ideal time for self-reflection and try to turn your current optimism into a lasting attitude to life which carries you over the bad times. And then at the bottom of each page, it kind of gives you a change or no change. So in this case, it's no change. And this says your lucky streak will last a while, so share it with others. But basically, is this a time for action or like less action? But that's not necessarily right. Is this a time to make drastic change or not? If you draw 2 cards, for example, then you look at the bottom and see how this is one unbroken line and this is separate because they're opposite. You would read the correlating line, and if they were the same, then you would stop at the baseline. So in this case, this line is solid, this line is solid, and this line is broken. So the bottom 2 are opposites. And then the third one is the same. So baseline would be if they were the same. Second line, because that is still opposite. Like third line is where they actually even out. So I think we explain it better here. So baseline is the same. Second line is opposite. Read line 2. And then line 4 and 6, because those are the opposites. So when you only draw 1 card, you read the baseline, but as our 2 examples show, you would read baseline and 2. So baseline in this case says your ideas will be recognized, and due to able supporters, you will realize your plans. If you don't neglect others and remain loyal to yourself, there will be success. there's 2 playing cards, so that if you want to kind of do your own basically, you can do that. I wish that these cards fit better in this box. That's okay. Okay. And then the last like big box set is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot by Maggie Stiefvater. She is the author of the Raven Boys books, and this is actually the tarot that correlates to those books. So I bought the tarot before I was aware of the books really, and then I read all the books, and then this was even better. And then you can't really see, but you have like the symbols in the box. This is another one. Again, Maggie Stiefvater is an author, so this is another one where I highly recommend the guidebook with it, especially since this is kind of non-traditional tarot. So the imagery is not your traditional Rider-Waite. Hold on. Lucky, can I help you? Yeah. What are you doing, Fluffy? Sorry, my dog's in the background having a moment. But yeah, so this is not a traditional Rider-Waite Smith style deck. Like it is, but it's kind of a slightly different take on things. So I highly recommend the guidebook just to kind of get a sense of her system, and also because she's a writer and it's a good guidebook. And you do get like a picture of the card, and you get that even on the Minor Arcana, which is nice. She does have kind of keywords at the top that go with each card, which some people find helpful and some people find obnoxious. But, yep. So, I like the backs of these cards because they feel very Halloween-esque, but at the same time, they're kind of, I don't know, very basic, I feel like. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, especially since the rest of the deck is so vibrant. It's a little odd to have kind of a Hocus Pocus-esque background, but it's okay. But like, these are some gorgeous cards. Again, they're kind of shiny, but like, look at that Lover's card. Like, that's just beautiful. I tend to prefer decks without a lot of human people in it, or a lot of faces, because I think it's distracting. So this is a pretty minimalist deck, as you can see. But I like it. I wish that the borders were black instead of orange. But like, look at that Magician card. I may have bought this deck just for that card. I like this one, it's stunning. obviously I couldn't bring like every tarot deck with me, so I didn't get to play with this one quite as much as I would like. Four of Cups. So I'll just read to you what the book says. Initially, nothing seems wrong with this card. It represents existing relationships that appear to be fine. They are not contentious. Everything is fine. But beneath the surface, things are not fine. This card is a warning that relationships are not being tended to. You're thinking more about your own needs than the other people in your life, and you're taking the great relationships of the first 3 cup cards for granted. So I like that it, especially like in the guidebook, not just in the cards, like the cards all do this, but in the guidebook she mentions how all of the cards relate, and the progression of each story, in the major arcana as well as the minor arcana, and how those, like how it progresses through the suit. And look at that Page of Coins card, like how cute is that? I can't stop. I love this deck. So I mentioned that I usually hate this card, but in all of the decks that I have, it's one of my favorite cards. But look at, I don't know if you can see, but it's like hands holding the light, and I just love them. It's way better than a naked baby on a horse. And then this is the sun in the Shadowscapes Tarot. Okay, so the rest of my cards are in kind of more standardized boxes, I guess. This is the Earthly Souls Oracle. I like the little stickers. I got this at an Etsy purchase, basically. And these are ginormous, so I don't know necessarily like that I particularly user-friendly in that capacity, but they're beautiful, so like who cares? So So, this is the equivalent of a little white book that's in most tarot decks, and it's in alphabetical order, and it has like, this card has Rejoice on the bottom, so you can look up Rejoice and see the keywords and associations. I don't actually use this one very often, if ever. I just feel like the keywords and the imagery on this one is perfectly sufficient. But and then when you buy this deck, it comes with like a smaller print, which I think is gorgeous, and a full-size print. And then this is kind of like the about the deck card. But these cards, if you're gonna shuffle them, you kind of have to just like do the, like spread them out on the floor. You can turn them over and see the backs, which are gorgeous. Just the moon cycles, but yeah, you can fan them out and do it that way. Because they're like ginormous to shuffle. But this is Rejoice. Magical. I love this. Like with the cat. Yes. Breathe. Under the moon. Hope. Right now this one is giving me Halloween vibes, and I'm excited for fall, so I like that. I'm hopeful for fall. Imagine. And like her very fancy gown just has kind of, I don't know, Cinderella-esque vibes to me. Evolve. Clarity. So I know I said I don't like decks with people, but I don't like decks with kind of clear faces. That doesn't make any sense, but I don't know. I like the watercolor style of this, and it doesn't really bother me in this deck. Authentic. And like, look how gorgeous the colors are. Relax. Balance. I love this card. Just in general, like as a print, I love that card. So this one is adventure, and it looks like such a Portal fantasy, like light, the each card represents a story in the Arthurian legend. And so the book for it, which I didn't grab. Hold on. But the book for it tells you like the story that's being represented and then how it relates to the card, and it's fantastic. Like if you are into the Arthurian legend at all, this is interesting just for that. So, and the way she relates it back to the tarot is an impressive mastery of both the legend and the tarot. One who exhibits a keen business sense, a focused, courageous person who does his or her best to protect others. So, yeah, I already don't like this version. Like, the full-size book is so good, and this is kind of the standard old keywords or ideas that were associated with it, but that's okay. King of Shields, an authority with great leadership abilities, a decisive, courageous man of strong character, an admired businessman, security, daring, protection, and accurate speculation. So, a lot of people, when they read, they use the court cards to represent actual people or actual figures in your life, and that is not really how I read. So, when I see those in books, I never like it, but of this were a little bit more vibrant, but they're so intricate that it's just impressive. This is Lancelot in exile for the Hermit card. King Pellinor, or King of Spears. essentially magician cards. So in this deck versus the Rider-Waite, a couple of card places are swapped. And I don't really use traditional Rider-Waite. Like, obviously, my Shadowscapes is kind of a knockoff, but yeah. But a couple of the card locations are swapped, and some of the meanings are a little bit different. This does have keywords at the bottom. A lot of people hate that, but I actually really like it. I like the keywords for this deck much more than I like for the Rider-Waite. I think the imagery is so much more interesting. So this is the Eight of Wands. I don't know if you can see. It'll focus. Focus. So it says Wands kind of in grayed out in the back, and then it says Swiftness in the front. And then you have the number at the top. And then you have all kinds of symbols in the middle. These ones, we have the Two of Swords, which is peace, the Ten of Wands, which is oppression, the Six of Cups, which is pleasure, and the Eight of Wands, which is swiftness. So we'll do the Six of Cups. Six of Cups is pleasure, well-being, harmony of natural forces without effort or strain, ease, satisfaction, happiness, success, fulfillment, beginning of steady increase. It can also, if in reverse, mean vanity, presumptuousness, and thanklessness. Again, the little white book does it no justice, but I just think the imagery on these is so much more I don't know, like clear than on a traditional, original, old school Rider-Waite style deck. So, and the color schemes are so much better. It's better. But when I started actually like figuring out how to read these cards, no one on YouTube really was talking about this deck, so I had to get some Rider-Waite decks. Literally just so I could follow along in some tutorials. Now there are more videos out there, but that's really odd. But at the time, there were none. I'd like to get a bag for all of my like box decks, but I haven't yet. So next are Oracle decks. So we'll call these. They're both by the same author, and if I wasn't so obnoxiously OCD, I would combine them. But it's Animal Spirits, Knowledge Cards, paintings by Susan Seddon Boulay, and Goddess Knowledge Cards, paintings by the same person. Text by Michael Babcock. So. So for these, you have a card on the front and then a description on the back. The description is substantially less detailed than you would normally expect in modern decks, I think, but it's kind of an decks, and it's just goddesses from a variety of cultures. Like, that's gorgeous. So this is Bast. I don't know how you say it. Bast was the Egyptian goddess who appeared in cat form. The Egyptians highly revered cats. The word for cat also denoted light and was cognate with the word for mother. The cat is a lunar animal and a solar animal representing the power of the sun as reflected in nature. Since the cat is an earth animal, Bast is also an earth mother goddess, a giver of life and abundance. So, yeah. These cards are sticky though, but again, I don't care. This is Eagle Woman. Despite the fact that the life-giving and death-wielding bird goddess is one of the oldest representations of the goddess, eagles have usually been linked with the masculine, with a few exceptions. The Sphinx of Egypt had the wings of an eagle, and the Aztec goddess also called Eagle Woman. This Eagle Woman shows a new marriage of the feminine and the eagle. She represents all an eagle stands for: spirit, valor, majesty, renewal, accuracy of sight, spiritual aim, and the ability to soar to the heights. She also holds in her hands a vessel, the traditional symbol for the feminine, for that which receives, contains, and nourishes. Spirits is pretty much exactly the same way. And then it has a description on the back. And then last but not least, we have the Clear to Lune Lenormand. I love this deck so much, and the tin has like a velvet piece at the bottom. This deck does come with some extra cards. So it has this little guidebook. This was an Etsy purchase, so it's an handy deck that I mess with. But if you look at 28 and 29, it's man and woman. And so it comes with kind of different versions of that. Truthfully, I usually leave them out, but I like that it comes with different versions. So this one has a picture as well as the number of the card, and then just kind of like keywords for it. In a Lenormand, they are 36 cards. traditional tarot readers don't seem to like Lenormand, but I do. Lenormand is pretty straightforward. Like there's not, I don't want to say there's not symbolism, but it's kind of more in your face about it. And I just feel like this deck is gorgeous. It's gonna be hard to see on camera though, but birds. Like, look at that face. Garden. Mountain. I just think that's stunning. But, you know, like, again, mountain would be like obstacles in your path or something. Like, it's pretty straightforward. What is this? Fox. Sun. Dog. Snake. Star. I was trying to look for a good example of something that is like fairly different from the tarot. The traditional example is the tower. So in tarot, in the tower card, it's kind of like that lightning strike, things come rumbling down. Like it's a burning image of a tower and people jumping out of the towers. Like it's kind of an intense card. But in Lenormand, it kind of means the opposite. Instead of things crumbling around you or the floor falling up underneath you, it's more like stability and security. Maybe isolation. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with that tower. It's just standing tall and strong and firm and secure. And so I think when a lot of people switch from tarot to Lenormand, there are some things that they expect to be correspondences that aren't, and it's kind of jarring. But, you know, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward, like letter, writing, communication, messaging. Like, it's fairly easy compared to, I feel like. I think the difference between tarot and Lenormand is that in tarot, if you have a question about something, you would draw some clarifying cards. So let's say that you're kind of using tarot to tell a story in a way, and you get to a plot point that doesn't make any sense, and so you draw some clarifying cards to figure out what that specific plot point actually means. And in Lenormand, the way that it works is more relational as opposed to clarifying. So you would read these two together, and these two together, and these two together, and these two, and these two, and so you have more of a situation in terms of relationships and in terms of how does this impact this. I don't feel like I'm explaining that very well, but so in Lenormand, instead of getting a plot clarification, you just get the next plot point, and you have to figure out how they're related. Versus tarot, which tells you, oh, well, here's the 7 cards that explain this one card. That doesn't happen in Lenormand. You kind of have to figure out, okay, here's my 5 plot points. What do these mean? So, on that note, that is my tarot and oracle collection. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Bye, everybody.